Okay, folks, gather round. Let's talk tariffs. Imagine walking into a store ready to buy some fancy imported cheese. But wait, there's a surprise fee slapped onto the price tag, making it way pricier than you expected. That, my friends, is a tariff in action, a tax on goods coming from another country. Basically, governments use tariffs to make imported products more expensive. Think of it like a financial border patrol trying to control the flow of goods across international lines. They can target specific items like that delicious cheese, or broader categories like, say, all electronics from a particular country. Now, you might be thinking, why would anyone do that? Doesn't everyone love a good deal? Well, hold your horses, because tariffs are a bit more complicated than that. It's not just about making things more expensive for kicks. Governments use tariffs for a bunch of reasons, and like most things in life, there are upsides and downsides. So buckle up as we delve into the wild world of tariffs, where economics and politics collide in a glorious, confusing mess. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. Why on earth would any government want to slap a tax on imported goods? Well, one big reason is to protect their own industries. Think of it like this. If foreign-made products are cheaper, local businesses might struggle to compete. By making those imports pricier, tariffs try to level the playing field and give domestic producers a fighting chance. It's like giving your home team a little boost, even if it means consumers might have to shell out a bit more. Another reason for tariffs is to punish bad behavior by other countries. Let's say a country isn't playing fair in the global trade game, maybe by dumping cheap goods below cost or violating labor standards. Tariffs can be a way to say, hey, cut it out, and encourage them to change their ways. Of course, governments also like money, that's no secret. And guess what? Tariffs can generate some sweet, sweet revenue. That extra cash can be used for all sorts of things, like funding public projects or reducing the budget deficit. But hold on, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Tariffs come with their fair share of downsides too. While they might seem like a simple solution, they can sometimes backfire and create a whole bunch of unintended consequences. So, before we get too excited about protecting our industries or punishing trade villains, let's take a closer look at how tariffs actually work in practice. Okay, picture this. A ship carrying thousands of shiny new smartphones arrives at a port. Before those phones can reach store shelves, they have to go through customs. Now, if there's a tariff in place on imported smartphones, guess what? The importer, usually a company, has to pay a fee for each phone. This fee can be a fixed amount per unit, like say $50 per phone, or a percentage of the phone's value, like 10%. Either way, it adds to the cost of importing those phones. And who do you think ends up footing the bill? You guessed it, often it's the consumer. See, businesses aren't exactly thrilled about paying extra for imports. They're in it to make money after all. So what do? They often pass on those increased costs to us, the buyers, by raising prices on those imported goods. But here's where things get interesting. Tariffs can set off a chain reaction in the economy. When prices of imported goods rise, people might start buying more domestic alternatives. That sounds good for local businesses, right? Well, it can be, but it also depends on whether those domestic producers can keep up with the increased demand and offer competitive prices. Plus, there's always the risk of retaliation. If one country imposes tariffs on another, the other country might retaliate with tariffs of their own. It's like a trade war, with countries going back and forth, slapping tariffs on each other's goods. And you know what they say about wars, nobody really wins. All right, let's break it down, folks. Tariffs, like most things in life, aren't as simple as they seem. They can have both positive and negative effects, and it all depends on how they're implemented and the specific circumstances. On the plus side, tariffs can provide a much-needed lifeline to struggling domestic industries. Remember that fancy imported cheese we talked about? Let's say there's a local cheesemaker who's been struggling to compete with cheaper imports. A tariff on that foreign cheese could make the local cheese more appealing to consumers, giving the local cheesemaker a chance to stay afloat. Moreover, tariffs can be a useful tool in international negotiations. They can be used as bargaining chips to pressure other countries into changing unfair trade practices, or upholding labor and environmental standards. Think of them as a way to bring everyone to the negotiating table and hopefully create a more level playing field for everyone. But here comes the reality check. While tariffs might seem like a quick fix, they often come with unintended consequences. One major downside is that they can lead to higher prices for consumers. Remember those imported smartphones? Well, if a tariff makes them more expensive, you might have to settle for an older model or postpone that upgrade you've been eyeing. And it's not just about higher prices. Tariffs can also stifle innovation and limit consumer choice. When domestic producers are shielded from foreign competition, they might have less incentive to innovate and improve their products. Plus, consumers might be stuck with fewer options if imported goods become too expensive. Take, for instance, the chicken tax imposed by the United States on imported light trucks back in the 1960s. While it initially aimed to protect the American auto industry, it ultimately limited the availability of more fuel-efficient trucks in the US and led to higher prices for consumers. So, there you have it, folks. Tariffs are a complicated beast, with the potential for both good and bad. They're a tool that governments can use to protect their industries, influence trade relationships, and generate revenue. But they can also lead to higher prices, reduce consumer choice, and even spark trade wars. The key is to use them strategically and cautiously, carefully weighing the potential benefits against the risks.